press briefing on Prime Minister's ongoing official visit to Malaysia. We have with us our Secretary East in the Ministry of External Affairs, Shri P. Kumran, who will be giving us an update on Prime Minister's visit. We are also joined by Shri Prashant Agarwal, Additional Secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs, who looks after ties with Malaysia. With that, I hand over the floor to Secretary East for his initial remarks. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Ranveer. Good afternoon to all friends from the media. I extend a warm welcome to all of you for joining us today. The Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, is here in Kuala Lumpur, as you all know, on an official visit which commenced yesterday and is concluding in the next few minutes. This visit is significant as it comes nearly a decade after Prime Minister's previous official visit to Malaysia in 2015. During that visit, India-Malaysia bilateral relations were elevated to an enhanced strategic partnership. In 2024, we had the pleasure of welcoming Prime Minister His Excellency Dato Shri Anwar Ibrahim in India. The visit gave renewed momentum to our bilateral cooperation, and our bilateral partnership was elevated to a comprehensive strategic partnership. The Prime Minister arrived yesterday and in a special gesture was very warmly received by Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim at the airport, where he was also accorded a guard of honor. Prime Minister was greeted with vibrant cultural performances at the airport and also at the place of stay. The two Prime Ministers traveled together to the Mines International Exhibition and Convention Center, where they addressed a large gathering of the Indian community, comprising students, professionals, business persons, and members of various Indian cultural associations, among others. The program included an exhibition on the history of the Indian community in Malaysia and spectacular performances by about 800 local artists, showcasing the richness of our shared heritage. I also understand that the number of artists that performed at a single place showcasing Indian dances also entered the Malaysian Book of Records. I may also add that the Prime Minister also interacted today with members of the Malaysian Parliament, ministers, and other dignitaries from the Indian community. His meeting with two surviving veterans of the Indian National Army, INA, headed by Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, was truly special. Earlier today, Prime Minister was received by Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim at Vardhana Putra complex and was accorded an official welcome ceremony. The leaders thereafter convened for bilateral discussions, both in restricted and delegation level formats, at Sari Vardhana, the official residence of Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim. The two Prime Ministers reviewed bilateral cooperation across the full spectrum of our partnership, including trade, investments, defense, security, semiconductors, digital technologies, financial technologies, fintech, renewable energy, education, healthcare, culture, tourism, and people-to-people exchanges. They also had the opportunity to discuss key regional and global issues. This was followed by the exchange of bilateral agreements and MOUs. These include exchange of notes on cooperation in the area of semiconductors, health and medicine, security, and technical and vocational education. In addition, the MOU between Malaysia's Anti-Corruption Commission and India's Central Bureau of Investigation, CBI, on combating and preventing corruption was signed. We also had an MOU on cooperation in the field of disaster management, a memorandum of cooperation between Employees State Insurance Corporation, ESIC, in India, and Perkeso in Malaysia on social security, and we also had an agreement on audiovisual cooperation, all of which were exchanged. The leaders also witnessed the exchange of letters on the renewal of the bilateral MOU on UN peacekeeping cooperation. Malaysia also handed over the instrument of its accession to the International Big Cats Alliance. Other MOUs and agreements signed during this visit include the agreement between NIPM and PayNet on cross-border QR-based merchant payments, and the MOU between University of Cyberjaya and the Institute of Training and Research in Ayurveda, Ministry of Ayush, India, on academic collaboration. The Prime Minister has also addressed the media. PM announced setting up of a dedicated Thiruvalluvar Center at University Malaya. It may also be noted that the Prime Minister had earlier in 2024 announced establishment of a Thiruvalluvar Chair of Indian Studies in University Malaya, which was operationalized in October 2025. Prime Minister also announced Thiruvalluvar scholarships for Malaysian scholars. With the objective of further strengthening our engagement and delivery of services to the Indian community, the Prime Minister has also announced the establishment of a Consulate General in Malaysia. The 10th meeting of the India-Malaysia CEOs Forum was convened on 7th February 2026. The outcome document of the forum's deliberations was presented by the co-chairs before the Prime Ministers. During the visit, Prime Minister also engaged with CEOs of prominent companies, Petronas, Berjaya, Khazana, and Dato KS Fua of Faisen Electronics regarding their plans for India in key sectors. The visit also coincides with India's presidency of BRICS, of which Malaysia is now a partner country. Prime Minister congratulated Malaysia on its successful conclusion of its ASEAN chairship and reiterated India's commitment to working closely with Malaysia for further strengthening the ASEAN-India Comprehensive Strategic Partnership. Malaysia remains a key partner in India's Act East policy, Vision Mahasagar, and Indo-Pacific vision. Prime Minister also thanked Malaysia for its support in the ongoing review of the ASEAN-India Trade in Goods Agreement, ITIGA. Our economic partnership is strong and growing. Malaysia is India's third largest trading partner in ASEAN, with bilateral trade close to about $20 billion. Our trade has diversified, and it includes a variety of agricultural products, chemicals, minerals, appliances, and machinery. In emerging areas such as semiconductors and digital technology, our bilateral engagements have intensified. The inaugural Malaysia-India Digital Council was first held a few months ago. On semiconductors, there is collaboration underway between IIT Madras Global and the Advanced Semiconductor Academy of Malaysia, as well as the Indian Electronics and Semiconductor Association and Malaysia Semiconductor Industry Association. Our countries have also exchanged notes on taking this cooperation further so as to strengthen the semiconductor value chain, focusing on technology innovation, workforce development, and supply chain stability to build a resilient and competitive ecosystem. Both sides have also exchanged views on cooperation in digital technology, cybersecurity, AI, and digital public infrastructure, among others. The Prime Ministers also exchanged views on ongoing bilateral defense, security, and maritime cooperation. Our engagement in this area has intensified in recent years. The first India-Malaysia security dialogue was convened last year in January 2025. The 13th Malaysia-India Defence Committee meeting was convened in February 2025, where we finalized the terms of reference for establishment of a Sukhoi 30 forum and a strategic affairs working group. Both the countries also have regular bilateral exercises, Harimau Shakti for the Army, Samudra Lakshmana for the Navy, and Udara Shakti for the Air Force. The 5th edition of Harimau Shakti was held in December 2025 in Rajasthan. Regular port visits, staff talks, conduct of training courses, etc. are also facets of our bilateral defense cooperation. Collaboration between our defense industries is also growing. A regional office of Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, HAL, has been functional. Indian defense companies MDL, BEML, HAL, among others, have been showcasing India's defense industrial prowess as prestigious events such as Langkawi International Maritime and Aerospace Exhibition. Malaysia has also been regularly participating in our key defense exhibitions such as Aero India. In their discussions today, the two Prime Ministers spoke about taking our strategic cooperation further in the area of defense and security. The presence of a 2.9 million strong Indian community in Malaysia is another important facet of our bilateral relationship. Not only does the community act like a living bridge between the two countries, but it also plays a valuable role in their economic development. Various initiatives have been undertaken in the recent past for the benefit of our diaspora members. This includes the extension of OCI cards to the sixth generation of PIOs in Malaysia. Similarly, for the benefit of Indian students studying in Malaysia, the government has recently replenished the scholarships trust fund with 3 million ringgit added to the corpus. The growing number of Indian workers and professionals has necessitated closer cooperation between the two countries in the area of labor welfare. With this in mind, an MOC, Memorandum of Collaboration between ESIC and PERCESO on social security programs and activities for Indian citizens as insured persons in Malaysia has been finalized today. Both the countries have also instituted measures to promote P2P exchanges in addition to cultural and commercial contacts. We are extending visa-free or gratis e-visas to each other's nationals for tourism. As a result, in 2025, 1.4 million Indian tourists traveled to Malaysia, whereas 300,000 Malaysian tourists visited India. Malaysia thus became the largest source of inbound tourism to India from the ASEAN region. The agreement between NIPL and PayNet today would take our people-to-people cooperation a step further by making cross-border QR-based payments possible. The outcomes of this visit, we can say, are of immense significance, not only because of the range and diversity of subjects covered, but also the positive impact they would bring to our people and therefore reflect the true spirit of our comprehensive strategic partnership. Thank you very much.
We open the floor for questions. We'll begin from here. Please.
Thank you very much. I'm Himanshu Bhatt.
Please take the mic.
Thank you. I'm Himanshu Bhatt. I'm the editor of the Sun newspaper in Malaysia. I wanted to ask, in terms of digital fintech, the announcement that UPI will be introduced in Malaysia. Of course, there were no details, but could you kindly provide our Malaysian readers the thrust of this and the modality and benefits it would entail to them? Yeah.
Rishikesh?
Sir, Rishikesh from PTI. So the joint statements emphasized strengthening of cooperation in counterterrorism and intelligence sharing. So what was the discussion on combating terrorism with the Malaysian PM, and are there any information sharing frameworks being established? And my second question is, are there any discussion on preserving and protection of Hindu temples in Malaysia?
Lomas?
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. I am Lomas from INS. My question is, from when we expect the new visa regime for Indian traveling to Malaysia to be implemented? Add-on questions. What is the status of integration of UPI and PayNet?
You have a question here, please.
Thank you. I'm Aradhana from Times of India. I have two questions. One is on the settlement of trade. Talks, I think, are happening between Bank Negara and RBI. Is there any timeline for that? And how soon do we expect that to happen? And second would be that Malaysian side has requested some air traffic rights. On the civil aviation, there has been talk about that. Could you enlighten us more on this, please? Thank you.
So we can take these questions.
Well, thank you very much. Let me start with the UPI linkage. UPI linkage is something that we have been discussing for a while. It involves a number of technical steps. It needs multiple banks to be brought on board on both sides. It also needs some kind of software alignment on the two sides. And it needs a number of point of sale machines to be brought on board, and some kind of collaboration with merchants on both sides, so that tourists and other visitors can take advantage of this linkage. I used to be posted in Singapore, and I saw this whole process happen when we linked UPI with Singapore's Pay Now. It took about a year for us to get that done. But now I know for sure that it is working extremely well. The main purposes are to help tourists who come and shop, in the partner country, for workers to send their remittances. There are, of course, safeguards built into it to make sure that it is meant to address people who actually need this, and therefore initially there are some restrictions on the amounts that can be transferred. So all of those safeguards are built in. So once the technical steps get completed, it will be operationalized. I also understand that there is a broader project. This is a point-to-point. Each country has to connect with the other. There is a broader project for multi-point connectivity called Project Nexus, which is also something that India, Singapore, Malaysia, and a few other countries in the region are working on. That will give you direct connectivity from one country to all the other countries which are part of Project Nexus, but that's some distance away. So that will make it even better than the existing point-to-point payment linkages. Ultimately, using QR codes like we pay in India or in other countries, you will be able to use cross-border payments also. Counter-terrorism, I'm sure you heard our Prime Minister speak about it this morning at the joint press conference. He spoke about the discussions he had with Prime Minister Ibrahim. And he also underlined that on the issue of counter-terrorism, he emphasized that there will be no compromise and there won't be any double standards. What I broadly like to emphasize is that we need to see the picture in totality. The Malaysian side has condemned the attacks in Pahalgam. They also condemned the Red Fort attack. We've had an all-party parliament delegation visit Malaysia, and they engaged a broad spectrum of MPs, political parties, think tanks, Indian community, etc. Had an opportunity to explain our position on counterterrorism. We've had a joint working group formed on counterterrorism, and they met in December 2025. We also had an NSA-level security dialogue in January 2025, and the deputy NSAs have also met in August. The Malaysian deputy NSA was a guest at the NSA's meeting at Colombo Security Conclave. And we, of course, have a full para on counter-terrorism in the joint statement, which will be issued at the end of the visit. So there is a lot happening in the area of counter-terrorism, and there is reason to be satisfied that our cooperation is proceeding very well. You asked about the protection of Hindu temples. We had an opportunity in the past to take this up, and we understand that the government of Malaysia has a mechanism in place to resolve such issues, and they have a mechanism in place to address all the issues associated with that. The new visa regime was something that you asked. The visa regimes are already in place. Malaysia has a 30-day visa-free entry for Indian tourists. The e-visa scheme for Malaysian nationals is already operational in India. As of now, it gets extended on a one-year by one-year basis. But to answer your question, yes, it is operational. Local currency settlements between RBI and the Malaysian Central Bank, this is still being discussed. The two regulatory authorities will continue to discuss this. It is a matter of priority, and both the Prime Ministers took the opportunity to express their support for this. So we will be working very actively in the coming months on this to have this operationalized. On air traffic rights, our Ministry of Civil Aviation is examining the proposal by the Malaysian side for more passengers, more destinations, etc. I don't have anything new to report on this. Given the expanding people-to-people connections, the large number of tourists visiting both sides, there was a broad agreement that we need to enhance connectivity and that more airlines and flights should be connecting India and Malaysia. The fact that we are going to open a new consulate, Prime Minister Ibrahim announced that it will be in Kota Kinabalu in Sabah, and perhaps we will have more connectivity directed towards Sabah also. Thank you.
You have a question there, please.
सर मैं शैलेंद्र मिश्र हूँ डीडी न्यूज से। आईटीगा की समीक्षा को लेकर बातचीत हुई, आगे बढ़ा गया है, इसको लेकर क्या कुछ प्रगति है? और दूसरा सवाल सर, हमने देखा सहयोग के क्षेत्रों में सेमीकंडक्टर पर बहुत चर्चा हो रही है और इस पर एक सहमति भी हुई है कि हम उसमें सहयोग को आगे बढ़ाएंगे, तो क्या कुछ इस पर थोड़ा सा विवरण अगर आप बताएं कि क्या क्या कुछ आगे होने वाला है सहयोग के क्षेत्र?
नमस्कार सर, मैं साधना टेलीविजन ग्रुप से हूँ और मैं बस मेरा 2 प्रश्न थे सर। जैसे भारत सरकार ने मुझे लगता है पिछले 11 वर्षों में नो टॉलरेंस नीति अपनाई है भ्रष्टाचार के मामले में, और जैसा कि आपने आज बताया कि आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी और मलेशिया के प्रधानमंत्री के साथ सीबीआई और यहाँ की एजेंसी के साथ में एक MOU साइन हुआ है, तो ये माना जाए कि कुछ ऐसे लोग जो भारत के साथ क्या उनके आप नाम उजागर करेंगे जिसके लिए खास नीति बनाई जा रही है? और दूसरा प्रश्न ये है कि पिछले कुछ समय से विपक्ष खास तौर से भारत में हमारे जब भी कोई घटना होती तो ये माना जाता है कि एक वर्ग विशेष के विरोध में काम कर रही है सरकार, लेकिन पिछले कुछ समय से मैं देख रहा हूँ आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी की जो यात्राएं हैं उसमें इस्लामिक देशों में जिस प्रकार का उन्हें सम्मान और जिस प्रकार की प्रगतिशील MOU साइन हो रहे हैं, मलेशिया में भी ऐसा ही कुछ मुझे देखने को मिल रहा है। तो ये माना जाए कि जो इस तरह का आरोप लगाया जाता था भारत सरकार के ऊपर विपक्ष की तरफ से और दूसरे लोगों की तरफ से, अब हम इस्लामिक देशों में भी प्रधानमंत्री जी की नीतियों और विदेश नीति खास तौर से वो एक्सेप्टेबल हो रही है।
आपने आईटी का रिव्यू की बात की थी। आईटी का रिव्यू अभी चल रही है और नेचुरली आईटी का इंडिया आसियान लेवल पे होता है, तो एग्रीमेंट कॉन्सेंसस के बेसिस पे अचीव होगा। तो सारे आसियान कंट्रीज के साथ डिस्कशंस हो रहे हैं। हमारा ब्रॉड ऑब्जेक्टिव ये है कि हम लोग ओवरऑल कोई 80% टैरिफ लाइंस पे लिबरलाइजेशन अचीव करें और हर कंट्री लेवल पे भी मिनिमम 70% टैरिफ लाइन लिबरलाइजेशन अचीव करें। उसमें डिस्कशन चल रहे हैं, उसमें लीस्ट डेवलपमेंट कंट्रीज के लिए कुछ कंसेशंस मिलेंगे इन टर्म्स ऑफ थ्रेशोल्ड लेवल टैरिफ लिबरलाइजेशन कितना होना चाहिए और कितना टाइम मिलना चाहिए 70% लिबरलाइजेशन से 80% लिबरलाइजेशन तक पहुंचने के लिए। रूल्स ऑफ ओरिजिन कैसे इम्प्रूव किया जाए, प्रोडक्ट स्पेसिफिक रूल्स कैसे बनाए जाएं, कई टेक्निकल इश्यूज हैं इसमें, इसके ऊपर चर्चा चल रही है एंड होपफुली इन द नेक्स्ट फ्यू मंथ्स हमारी डिस्कशंस कंक्लूड होंगे और प्रधानमंत्री जी ने मलेशियन प्राइम मिनिस्टर को शुक्रिया अदा किया कि उन्होंने काफी सपोर्ट किया इस प्रोसेस में। मलेशिया इंडिया के साथ को चेयर करता है ये आईटी का रिव्यू डिस्कशंस को, तो उस सिलसिले में प्रधानमंत्री जी ने उनको थैंक किया कि आपने अच्छा सा हेल्प किया कोऑर्डिनेट करने में और डिस्कशंस को आगे बढ़ाने में। सेमीकंडक्टर एक बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट एरिया है और इसको इस एरिया में कोऑपरेशन को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए मलेशिया इंडिया डिजिटल काउंसिल फॉर्म किया है। वो सेमीकंडक्टर में भी डिस्कशंस को आगे बढ़ा रहा है और बाकी कुछ एरियाज भी हैं जैसे DPI हो, ई गवर्नेंस प्लेटफॉर्म्स हो, साइबर सिक्योरिटी, AI, फिनटेक, डिजिटल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन और जैसे अभी बताया था पेमेंट लिंकेजेस और सेमीकंडक्टर इकोसिस्टम में ब्रॉडली ये माना जाता है कि इंडिया के डिजाइन स्किल्स काफी एडवांस्ड हैं और मलेशिया कोई 30-35 इयर्स का मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एक्सपीरियंस है उनका और असेंबली टेस्टिंग और पैकेजिंग के भी काफी एक्सपीरियंस और एक्सपर्टीज हैं। तो हमारा एफर्ट यही रहेगा कि इन दोनों को साथ में जोड़ा जाए और सिनर्जीज अचीव किया जाए और हमारा यही आशा है कि आगे बढ़ के कर पाएंगे हम लोग। काउंटर टेररिज्म के बारे में तो मैंने काफी डिटेल में बात किया था। हमारा ब्रॉड अप्रोच ये है कि वी विल ट्राई एंड एड्रेस काउंटर टेररिज्म इन अ कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव वे, ट्रांसनेशनल क्राइम्स, पीपल स्मगलिंग या ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग जो बोला जाता है, ऑल काइंड्स ऑफ ट्रांसनेशनल क्राइम्स एंड टेररिज्म रिलेटेड मैटर्स, वायलेंट एक्सट्रीमिज्म, सबको एड्रेस करने के लिए नेशनल सिक्योरिटी डायलॉग होता है। एंड इसके कई सारे मैंने बोला था आपको जॉइंट वर्किंग ग्रुप, डेप्यूटी एनएसए लेवल, कोलंबो सिक्योरिटी कॉन्क्लेव में मल्टीलैटरल तरीके से भी डिस्कशंस हो रहे हैं। तो दी अप्रोच इज वेरी वेरी कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव, सारे क्राइम्स उसमें कवर्ड हैं और सारे तरह के थ्रेट्स कवर्ड हैं, मल्टी डायमेंशनल थ्रेट्स।